Hey everyone, recently one of our subscribers Shweta Gupta cracked the senior Java developer interview at Airtel and she shared her complete interview experience with me. Okay, I will also add her LinkedIn profile in the description if she permits, right? She has around 6 years of experience guys in Java, Spring Boot and microservices. Okay. And guys, along with the question, I will also explain what kind of answers the interviewer was expecting after every question, right? So you will get the proper context and you will understand how to answer the same type of questions in your own interviews, right? Before we start guys, if you are preparing for Java, Spring Boot or microservices interviews and you want more real interview experiences and questions, then please subscribe to the channel just now because I regularly share actual interviews questions and ask in the top companies. And if you want to share your own interview experiences, then please fill out the form below in the description. Okay. So guys, according to Shweta, she applied through Naukri, right? Her profile was shortlisted in about 1 week and a recruiter called her. Okay, there were total 4 rounds: online coding test on HackerEarth, technical round 1, technical round 2 and managerial round, right? Out of these technical round, 2 was tougher and managerial round was very interesting. Okay. So the first round was HackerEarth test of 90 minutes. First part was MCQs and the second part was coding. The MCQs were on core Java, collections, multi-threading, and some output-based Spring Boot questions, right? Nothing very hard, but the timer was very tight, okay? Then came the coding part. The first coding question was given an array of the integers and a number k, find the length of the longest subarray whose sum is exactly k, right? And guys, she didn't remember the second question, but it was related to array implementation only, and you could check the solution of the first one on Google because it was very common question. Now guys, let's start with the technical round 1, and this round was around 1 hour. It was mostly core Java, Spring Boot, right? And the interviewer was very calm. But one thing Shweta noticed, after every answer, he was asking one follow-up question, right? So he was checking depth, not just theory. Okay. So guys, the first interviewer asked, tell me about yourself, about the project you are working on right now. She gave a short introduction, her name, her experience, her tech stack, right? And then she went straight into her project, right? The modules she owns and her daily day-to-day task. Okay. Then guys, he asked how does hashmap work internally and what happens when two keys have the same hash code. Okay. So it is a very common question guys, right? But at the 6 years level, they expect fundamentals also, right? So a hashmap keeps data in the buckets. First, it takes the hash code of the key and finds the bucket. Then if two keys lands in the same bucket, it makes a linked list there. And after 8 entries, it becomes a tree. Okay. And then the follow-up came. What happens if we use a mutable object as a key in a hash map, right? So guys, if we change the object after putting it in the map, its hash code also changes. So the maps looks in a different bucket and we cannot get our values back. This is why we should use immutable keys like string, right? And the tip from my side is whenever you say hash map in an interview, be ready for the equals, hash code and immutability follow-ups questions. Okay. Next question was what is the difference between fail fast and fail safe iterators, guys? So a fail fast iterator throws concurrent modification exception if we change the collection while looping, like in array list, right? A fail safe iterator works on a copy, so it does not throw that error, and copy on right array list is a good example of this. Okay. And guys, before moving to the next question, I will like to share one important thing with you. Actually, Shweta prepared from our interview preparation kit. Okay, so let me tell you, this interview preparation kit has 4 main parts. First is complete interview preparation material. It is a step-by-step material made by me, expert and MNC's interviewers, right? 99% of the questions asked in interviews are already covered in it. Okay. Second is 2 real enterprise client projects. Code and video recorded sessions are there, right? And you can add this in your resume. Third is lifetime chat support. Here you can ask your doubts anytime, any day, right? Fourth is referral support. Here basically we help you to get referred to the top MNCs. So basically this material is organized as per your experience level and covers Java, Spring Boot, Spring Security, Spring Data JPA, microservices, Kafka, Maven, Git, coding questions, Stream API coding questions, and many more. Right? You can buy just the complete interview preparation material or the full interview preparation kit with project supports and referrals. I have added the links in the description below. So now moving to our interview. Guys, an interviewer moved to the Java 8 and asked if a class implements 2 interfaces and both interfaces have the same default method, what will happen? Okay, so basically this is a tricky one. He wanted to see if she knows the diamond problem. So the answer is the code will not compile because Java does not know which method to pick. So we have to override that method in our class, right? And inside it we can call the one we want, like interface a dot super dot show. Okay. Then he shifted to the multi-threading and asked what is the difference between synchronized keyword and reentrant logs, and where would you use reentrant lock. So guys, with synchronized, the lock is handled by Java and it is released automatically. With reentrant lock, we lock and unlock ourselves. So we get extra features like try lock with a timeout and fair ordering. Okay. So we use it when we need that control. Okay. The next question was scenario. Two of beans depends on each other. How will Spring handle this circular dependency and how will you fix it? Okay. So with field injection, Spring can sometimes handle it, but with constructor injection, it fails at startup. First, we would try to fix the design and move to the common code to a third bean. And if that is not possible, we can use lazy annotation. Okay. Then he came to the transaction and asked what is the difference between required and requires underscore new propagation. Okay. So in a required, if a transaction is already running, the method joins the same transaction, right? But in requires underscore new, Spring always starts a new transaction and pauses the old one. So we use requires underscore new when we want audit logs to save even after a rollback. Okay. And the last question of this round, guys, was of if I call a transactional method from another method of the same class, will the transaction work? So answer is no, it won't work because Spring uses a proxy and an internal call does not go through that proxy. So first we move that method to another bean or we call it through a self-injected reference. Okay. Now let's start with the technical round 2. This round was tougher. It was taken by senior architect and it was fully about microservices, Kafka, performance, and production issues. Very few theory questions here, right? Mostly scenario based questions. Okay. The first question was explain the architecture of your current project. How many services are there and how do they talk to each other? Okay. So, guys, first I would like to explain the flow from the gateway to the services and then to the databases, right? Then I would explain which calls are REST and which calls go through Kafka. And after that, I would tell why we choose each one. Okay. Then, guys, he gave a scenario. One of your APIs calls three other services one after another, and it is very slow. So, how will you make it faster? So, guys, first we check if the three calls really depends on each other. If they do not, we run them in parallel with a completable feature and a thread pool, right? And after that, we add caching and proper timeouts, right? So, one slow service does not block everything. Okay. Next question was service B is down and service A keeps calling it. So how will you stop this failure from spreading? So first we put a circuit breaker with resilience 4J on that call, right? So after the some failures, the circuit opens and we return a fallback response. Then we also add a timeout and a retry with back off. So we do not wait forever. Okay. Guys, then he moved to the Kafka and asked, how do you make sure that the some Kafka messages is not processed twice? This is very important question. So first we make the consumer idempotent by keeping a unique key like the event ID in the database, right? Then before processing, we check if that ID is already done. And on the producer side, we turn on the idempotence like enable.idempotence is equal to true. Okay. And guys, the follow-up question was on this, what happens if your consumer crashes in the middle of processing a message and how do you handle offsets? So guys, if we commit the offset before processing, we can lose the message. That is true. So first we process the message and then we commit the offset manually, right? And for the bad message, we use retries and finally a dead letter topic. Okay. Then he asks, how do you manage one transaction that goes across three microservices? So we cannot use one database transaction, right? So we use the Saga pattern here, where each service does its own local transaction and then sends an event for the next step. Okay. And if any one step fails, we run compensating transaction to undo the earlier ones. Okay. Then, guys, came a real production scenario question. Your service memory keeps going up and it restarts with out of memory error every 2 days. So, how will you find the problem? So, guys, in this type of situation, first we check the memory graphs in the actuator and Grafana. Then we take a heap dump with the JMap and open it in a tool like Eclipse Mat, right? And after that, we look at which objects are growing, mostly caches or static maps, right? And the tip from my side for this type of question is, for any production issues, first tell how will you find the root cause. Do not jump straight to the fix. Okay. Next, he asked a database question. What is the n plus 1 problem in JPA and how do you solve it? So, the n plus 1 problem happens when we load a parent list and then Hibernate fires one more query for each child, right? So, first we use a join fetch query or an entity graph, and after that, we check the SQL logs to the confirm. Okay. Then he shifted to the monitoring. One request goes through 5 services. How will you trace it from the start to end? So guys, first we generate a correlation ID at the gateway and pass it in the headers to every service. Then we print that ID in all our logs. After that, we use micrometer tracing with Zipkin so we can see the full request path. Okay. And the last one was a small live coding question. And the question was, by using stream API, find the duplicate elements in the list of integers. She wrote it in the shared editor in about 2 minutes. This one is easy, and I'm not giving solution of this one, guys. You can check on the internet. Okay. So after two heavy technical rounds, Shweta had the managerial round. She said this one was more like discussion only, right? The manager wanted to see how she works in a team and how she behaves when there is a pressure. Okay. The manager started with, tell me about the most difficult production issue you have handled. Then he asked, what will you do if you do not agree with the design decision of your tech stack, right? The next question was, the requirement changed 2 days before the release. How will you handle it, right? Then he asked about the team. Like, you are a senior now. How do you guide the junior developers in your team? Okay. And the next question was, there is a production issue at 2 in the night. What will you do? Then the standard one, why do you want to leave your current company and why Airtel? Okay. And finally, what is your expected CTC and what is your notice period? Okay. And that's it, guys. After the managerial round, Shweta got her offer letter from the Airtel for the senior Java developer role. Okay. And one last thing from her side, at 6 years of experience, they are not testing your theory. They are testing how you debug, how you take decisions, and how you explain them. So always connect your answers to the real work. Okay. So guys, if you found this video helpful, give this video a thumbs up. It really motivates me to bring more real interview experiences like this. Drop a comment and tell me which company or which topic you want next. And if you have not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right now, because I post these type of videos regularly. All the best for your interviews. Thank you. Bye bye.